Hey, it's DrRic. I wanted to talk about fiber again. I just did a tutorial on carbohydrates, and before I get into carbohydrate number 2, I thought I'd comment a little bit on my new fiber source and also rehash some old fiber information. So this is, I'm going to make this while I'm talking. This is acacia, and acacia comes from the tree in Africa. And usually giraffes can only get to it, but it's kind of cool the way the tree protects itself by either secreting tannins or just having thorny branches to keep from animals eating and taking advantage of the leaves. So as this mixes up, I'll talk about the rest of the stuff here. The first thing is you always want to go with something natural, and this is sunflower seeds. I got this at Meyer last time I was there. I got it for staying awake during a recent conference. But sunflower seeds just are an example of having a whole food source of fiber, which is always the most important. A quarter cup of these sunflower seeds is equal to about 3 grams of fiber, 1 gram of sugar, 6 grams of carbohydrates, and nicely too 7 grams of protein. You wouldn't think this little guy has protein in it, but it does. So you do have the assortment. You just have to make sure you can tolerate this and that you like it. I would be careful with the use of salt in some of the sunflower seeds. This is unsalted. Next is organic beans from Target, and this has in a half a cup of this has 6 grams of fiber, 7 grams of sugar, and 19 grams of carbohydrates. So a little bit higher with the carbohydrate load. So it could be an issue. And that's always the problem, is when you take in fiber, if you do it naturally, you have to take in volume. And when you take in volume, number one, you'll still get full, which is a good sense of satiety, but you'll also have to take in some carbohydrate hits. And as per the last video on carbohydrates, if you overdo the carbohydrates, you're going to get the fiber in that you need per day, 30 if you can get 30 grams a day, but you'll also get a little bit heavier with your carbohydrate. So watch out. This is a kind bar, kind of grab and go kind bar that I have. 1 kind bar is equal to 5 grams of fiber, 5 grams of sugar, and 13 grams of carbohydrates. So packed into this thing, you do have a significant source of carbs. A little bit of a problem because you'll probably want more of these as time goes on. This is my go-to when we have weight loss in the clinic, or at least when my patients want to go through weight loss. This is PGX. 3 capsules of this stuff, which is a little pricey, is only equal to 2 grams of fiber. Obviously no sugar compared to these guys. 2 grams of carbohydrates. And it has this proprietary blend of some kind of polysaccharide complex that also gives you satiety. So there's a double benefit: a little bit of fiber in a capsule with this proprietary blend of something that gives you satiety. So it's kind of fake satiety, but in a pinch it's a good source if you're doing a detox. This is the psyllium, which I've done in the past as far as videos. 2 tablespoons of this stuff is equal to about 7 grams of fiber, 0 sugar, 8 grams of carbohydrates. So not that bad. Remember, we have to empower ourselves to read labels. It's always important to get used to these things. We hope that the companies, and I don't have any affiliation with now food products, but we hope the companies will be putting in the product what is exactly on the label, but we'll see. The downside of the psyllium is that it does come out pretty thick. You'll see in my last video, you have to spoon it out. I have some people who just try to put it in the water and down it real quick. Don't forget, you always have to chase everything here with water, because if you don't, then you'll have this complex of fiber that can actually make you constipated. And then last but not least, which is why I wanted to talk about this acacia, is it goes down a lot easier. It tastes really earthy, so I still have to mix this up, but it comes out where you don't have to scoop it up. It's kind of lumpy this morning, but if I let this sit for a couple more minutes and crush the little clumps of the fiber, it should dissolve. It's really earthy tasting compared to the psyllium. Psyllium I sometimes flavor with B12 cherry flavored powder. Here you can't really put more flavoring in here, but 1 tablespoon of this is equal to 6 grams of soluble fiber, no sugar, and 6 grams of carbohydrate. So you don't really have a big carbohydrate hit. You have no sugar like in the processed stuff, and you have a decent amount of fiber per volume compared to the psyllium. So just as another alternative, I can try to mix this up a little bit more, and it doesn't look too appetizing, but it does go down pretty quick. Remember, again, it's always important to get to that total grams of fiber per day, 30, if you can, even more, as long as your gut can tolerate it. But whether you choose the whole food approach, the minimally processed approach, the whole food but minimally processed powders, or the capsules, which are a shortcut, it's up to you. But again, the objective is to lead a healthy life, get a decent amount of fiber in, continue to make proper choices as far as nutrition, so that you fuel the body with what it needs to tolerate the day, the stress, and the challenges of each decade. Hopefully this has been helpful. If it has, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to me for weekly words of wisdom.